My best friend betrayed me with my girlfriend while being her trainer, but a scorned ex collected years of evidence, and what she did with it destroyed his career, his reputation, and left them both with nothing. I'm 27 years old, work in finance, and honestly never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get it out of my system because what happened basically destroyed my concept of trust in people. I guess I should start at the beginning. When I met Paej like 2.5 years ago, I used to stop at this coffee shop near my office every day. You know, one of those hipster places where coffee costs like double the normal price, but it's good. And she worked there as a barista. She was cute, funny, always made me laugh with random comments while making my order, and after like 3 months of this, I finally worked up the courage to ask for her number. I don't remember exactly what I said, something super awkward probably, but it worked and we started dating. At first everything was perfect. I mean, she was studying marketing at university while working at the coffee shop. I was getting established in my career, and we just worked well together. I come from a family with money. Not gonna lie, but I was never the type to act like a jerk about it, and Paige didn't seem to care at all about my financial situation, which I honestly liked because I dated girls before who were clearly more interested in my bank account than in me. With Paige, it felt real. You know? She had her own ambitions, her own plans, and I admired that about her. Like a year into dating, I suggested she join a gym because I went regularly and thought it would be something we could do together, or at least in parallel. The gym I went to was pretty nice, with personal trainers and all that, and it turns out one of the trainers was Trevor, my best friend since high school. Trevor and I were close, like really close. We'd been through everything together in high school, college, the typical teenage stupidity, and when he decided to become a personal trainer instead of pursuing a traditional career, I supported him completely. He had a girlfriend too, Gabriella, a really nice girl he met like a year before, and the four of us would hang out sometimes, double date and all that. It seemed perfect. You know what I mean? My best friend, my girlfriend, my best friend's girlfriend, all getting along. When Paige joined the gym, Trevor offered her some free training sessions to help her get started. And I thought, great. What a good friend, helping my girlfriend get in shape. I had no idea what was really happening. Things started getting weird, like 3 months after Paige joined the gym. At first, they were small things that I completely rationalized. She started spending more and more time at the gym, like she'd come home super late. And when I'd ask, she'd say Trevor had given her an extra session or that she'd stayed doing additional cardio. Okay, fine. Makes sense. She's committed to her fitness, that's good, right? But then she started putting her phone face down all the time, and she'd take it literally everywhere, even to the bathroom. When a notification would sound, she'd practically lunge to check it and turn it so I couldn't see the screen. One time I tried to make a joke about it, like, hey, do you have another boyfriend or what? And she got super defensive immediately, saying I was paranoid and controlling. That made me feel bad. Honestly, because I'd never been that type of boyfriend. So I stopped mentioning it. But things kept piling up. Paige started mentioning Trevor constantly, like Trevor says this. Trevor thinks that. Trevor taught me this new training technique. Trevor, Trevor, Trevor. And look, I understood he was her trainer, but it was too much, you know? And then there were the text messages. Sometimes, I'd see her screen when a notification came in, and it was from Trevor, at 11 at night, at midnight. Like, why is your trainer texting you at those hours? When I'd ask, she'd say he was sending her workout plans or nutrition advice, and I'd think, well, maybe that's how personal trainers work now, what do I know? But something felt wrong, deeply wrong. And I started to feel like a crazy person for even thinking it because this was Trevor, my best friend for over 10 years. He would never do something like that to me. One day, like 6 months after all this started, I was passing by the coffee shop where Paige worked to surprise her with lunch, and I heard her talking with her coworkers at a table in the back. They didn't see me arrive because they had their backs turned. And I heard Paige say, and I swear this is verbatim, he's boring and predictable, but he's safe, you know? Good job. Good money. Treats his girlfriend well. But Trevor, God, Trevor is pure adrenaline. He makes me feel alive in a way I've never felt. I stood there, frozen with the bag of food in my hand, feeling like someone had punched me in the stomach. One of her friends said something like, "Be careful, you don't want to lose everything." And Paige laughed and said, "That's why I'm smart about it." Can you believe it? She was literally talking about playing me like it was a business strategy. I left there without them seeing me and went straight home. When Paige got home that night, I confronted her. I told her exactly what I'd heard, and she first tried to deny it, then said I'd misinterpreted, that they were joking, that her friends were teasing her about Trevor and she was just playing along. I asked her to show me her messages with Trevor, just so I could be at peace, and she flatly refused. She said that was an invasion of her privacy, that I had no right to demand to see her phone, that if I didn't trust her, then maybe we should break up. She made me feel like the bad guy, like I was the problem for being worried about what I'd literally heard come out of her mouth. We ended up in a horrible fight where she cried and accused me of not valuing her independence and wanting to control her, and I ended up apologizing. Can you believe that? I apologized for confronting her about something she clearly said. I decided to talk to Trevor the next day. I went to the gym and asked him to talk in private. I told him everything, what I'd heard, my concerns, and he acted completely surprised and offended. He told me I was crazy, that he would never do something like that I was like his brother, that Paige was just another client to him. Gabriella was there too. She worked at the gym reception part-time, and she also jumped to defend him, saying that Trevor told her everything and that there was nothing suspicious, that maybe I was projecting my own insecurities. Both of them made me feel like a complete paranoid, and I left there feeling worse than before. I started seriously questioning myself, like maybe I am being irrational. Maybe I'm working too much and I'm stressed and I'm imagining things that don't exist. Paige went into super girlfriend mode after that confrontation. She started being extra affectionate, cooked my favorite meals, planned romantic dates, told me how much she loved me, constantly. It was like she was trying to compensate for something. But at that moment, I thought maybe I really had misinterpreted everything, and she was demonstrating her commitment to me. We lasted like that for about a month, where everything seemed to return to normal, or at least a superficial version of normal. But then I got a message from an unknown number. It was from Christina, one of Paige's co-workers at the coffee shop, the one who had been in that conversation I overheard. The message said, "You need to see this," and attached screenshots of Paige's work calendar from the past months. There were huge blocks of time marked as study meeting or extra class, but Christina said those days Paige didn't have classes and that she had specifically covered shifts for her those days. The times matched exactly with the days Paige supposedly stayed late at the gym. I didn't know what to do with that information. Confronting Paige directly hadn't worked the first time, and I was sure she'd just deny everything again. I needed real proof, something indisputable. So I did something I never thought I'd do. Something that still makes me feel a little dirty, but that was absolutely necessary. I went to the gym one day when I knew Trevor was busy with other clients and talked to Jason, another trainer who worked there and who I was friendly with. I asked him if there was a way to see the gym's security footage, vaguely explaining that I suspected something was happening and needed to confirm it. Jason was a good guy and had apparently seen Trevor in action before with other female clients because he told me he'd also had his suspicions about Trevor and that he'd help me. A week later, Jason contacted me and told me to check my email. He'd sent video clips from the past few weeks, specifically from Trevor's private training area where he did one-on-one sessions with clients. And there it all was. Paige entering Trevor's private training room at 9 at night, when the gym was practically empty, and not leaving until 11:30, midnight even. The videos showed Trevor closing the window blinds in the room as soon as she entered. They didn't show what happened inside, obviously, but you didn't have to be a genius to connect the dots. This had been happening 2-3 times a week for months. Months. All the time I'd been questioning myself, feeling like I was crazy, like I was paranoid and insecure. This was happening. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw those videos, I felt like the floor opened up beneath me. It wasn't just that I was being cheated on, it was that they'd made me feel like I was the problem, like I was irrational for suspecting exactly what was happening. The manipulation was what hurt the most, I think. more than the physical betrayal itself. I'd questioned my own sanity, my own judgment, because the two of them had acted with such conviction, with such indignation at my accusations. I downloaded all the videos and saved them, in multiple places because I knew I was going to need them. Then I simply went home, waited for Paige to arrive from her supposed shift at the coffee shop, which, surprise, Christina confirmed she didn't have that day. And when she opened the door, I told her, "We need to talk. It's over." She immediately started with the crying and denials, but I simply took out my laptop and showed her the videos. Her face, God, her face went through like 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Shock, fear. She tried to make an excuse saying Trevor was just helping her with special exercises that required privacy, but even she didn't believe that lie. When she realized I knew everything, she changed tactics and started blaming me, saying I'd pushed her into Trevor's arms because I worked too much, because I was emotionally distant, because I didn't make her feel special. I took all of that without saying anything, then told her she had exactly 30 minutes to get her stuff out of my apartment before I called the police. She tried to negotiate, saying she had nowhere to go, that she was so sorry, that we'd built something together, and we deserved to try, but I was already completely emotionally disconnected. At that moment, she was a stranger to me. I blocked her on everything after she left: phone, social media, email, everything. I also blocked Trevor because obviously he was equally involved in this. I thought that was the end of it, that I'd simply move on with my life and forget both of them. But like 2 days later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject said, "Information you need about Trevor." And when I opened it, it was from an ex-girlfriend of Trevor's from like 3 years ago. She said she'd heard through gym gossip because apparently Jason couldn't keep his mouth shut. Not that I care, that Trevor had done the same thing again. And that she felt I needed to know this was a pattern. She attached a PDF that was basically a documented timeline of all the times Trevor had done exactly this: befriend a guy, get his girlfriend to join the gym, systematically seduce her while maintaining his own relationship, and then discard her when he got bored or when things got too complicated. There were like 6 different girls in that document, with screenshots of messages, photos, testimonies, everything. This woman had done a complete research job after Trevor did the same thing to her and had been saving all this information, waiting for the right moment to use it. She asked me if I had evidence she could add to her collection, and I sent her the gym videos along with the screenshots Christina had given me. Then she asked me something I didn't expect. Can I send all of this to Gabriella? Because apparently Gabriella had no idea about any of this. She was being deceived just like me, and this woman felt she deserved to know the truth. I told her yes, go ahead, send her everything, because honestly I'd always liked Gabriella and felt bad for her being with someone like Trevor without knowing it. I don't know exactly what happened after that because I wasn't in contact with any of them, but I started hearing things through mutual friends and social media. Turns out Gabriella took all that evidence and posted it on the gym's social media page, tagging Trevor and exposing everything publicly. The gym fired him immediately, because apparently using the facilities to cheat on people and manipulate clients is, grounds for dismissal. But it didn't end there. Gabriella also sent the information to the association that certifies personal trainers, and they revoked his license. Basically, Trevor can't work as a certified trainer at any legitimate gym ever again. He also got banned from several gyms in the city because the story spread like wildfire and nobody wanted to have any association with him. And Paige had her own brutal awakening, apparently, and Christina told me this later. Paige thought Trevor was really in love with her and that he was eventually going to leave Gabriella for her. She'd been planning how and when she was going to leave me to be with Trevor officially, thinking they had a future together. But when everything came to light and Trevor was exposed, he basically told Paige that she meant nothing to him, that she was just another one, that she'd let herself be manipulated super easily, and that he never had serious intentions with her. That completely destroyed her. She had a kind of public breakdown at the coffee shop where she worked, yelling at Christina that everything was her fault for sending me those screenshots. And she ended up quitting because the environment became unbearable. The crazy thing is that after Gabriella posted all the evidence publicly, more and more stories started coming out. Women that Trevor had manipulated in the past and who had never spoken up, out of shame or fear, started sharing their experiences. There was a super clear pattern. Trevor would befriend men with money or good careers, systematically seduce their girlfriends or wives using his position as a trainer to create false intimacy, make them believe he understood them better than their partners, and then discard them without remorse when he got bored or when the situation got risky. He was a predator, basically, and had been operating like this for years. The fact that I'd known him since high school and never saw this side of him is something I still struggle to process. Like 2 months after all this, Gabriella contacted me. It was awkward at first because technically I'd blocked her along with Trevor, but she wrote to me through LinkedIn of all possible platforms. She asked if we could get coffee and talk, that she needed to apologize to me for not believing me when I went to talk to Trevor that time, and that she felt terrible for making me feel paranoid. I agreed because, honestly, I needed that conversation too. When we met up, it was strangely therapeutic for both of us. She was processing the betrayal just like me, discovering that the guy she'd been with for over a year was completely different from who she thought he was. We talked for hours about the signs we'd ignored, about how Trevor had manipulated both of us to doubt our own instincts, about how to recover from that type of betrayal that comes from someone you trusted completely. I'm not gonna lie, something started developing between us after that. Not immediately, because we were both still processing everything and didn't want to jump into anything new. But we started spending more time together, just as friends at first. She was the only person who really understood what I'd been through, because she'd lived the same experience from another angle. There was a connection there that was different from anything I'd felt before, something based on real vulnerability and brutal honesty. Like 6 months after all the drama, we started dating officially, and honestly, it's the healthiest relationship I've ever had. There are zero mind games, zero manipulation, just honest communication and mutual respect. The last time I heard about Trevor, he's working at a protein shake shop, basically making minimum wage and living with roommates because he lost everything. The clients he had abandoned him when the truth came out. He can't get work at any decent gym, and his reputation in the fitness industry is completely destroyed. Paige moved to another city, I think, because she couldn't handle the shame of everyone we knew, knowing what she'd done and how she'd been used and discarded so brutally. I don't feel satisfaction exactly about how things ended for them, but I don't feel pity either. The consequences of manipulating and hurting people eventually catch up with you. Last week, Gabriella and I went on vacation to Hawaii, like one of those relaxing beach vacations where you don't do anything but eat well and sunbathe. One night we were having dinner at this restaurant overlooking the ocean, and she asked me if I ever thought about everything that happened. And I told her, yes, sometimes, but it doesn't hurt like it used to. It's more like an extremely costly life lesson about trusting people and recognizing signs of manipulation. She agreed and said something that stuck with me. Sometimes, the worst experiences take you exactly where you need to be. And looking at her there, with the sun setting behind her, I thought maybe she was right. I wouldn't change what happened because it taught me to value real honesty and led me to someone who truly understands me. I guess that's enough for now.